Greetings, friends and followers. This is Nurses Talking, and I am Dale Barzy. As always, if you like what you see and hear, subscribe, leave us a comment, and let us know what you think. Here on Nurses Talking, we speak to nurses anywhere in the world and at any stage in their nursing journey. And today, I'm very, very pleased to welcome Giovanna Navarro out of Texas, USA. And Giovanna comes with over 25 years' experience in neuroscience, behavioral health, and critical care in different countries. She is an award-winning nurse, board-certified nurse coach. She's a research leader and a sought-after speaker. She's also an author of Burn Bright, Not Out. She partners with organizations globally, delivering programs in both English and Spanish to combat stress, overcome burnout, and restore joy. So, welcome, 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 Giovanna.
Oh, thank you so much, Dale. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, my absolute pleasure. But tell me, why did you become a nurse?
Oh, I love that question. I think mine's a little bit different. I'll tell you why, because when I was a kid, I had these very recurrent dreams that I was healing people and animals with my hands. Like I wasn't even touching them, but I was just healing them. But I woke up really sad because I wasn't able to fully heal them. Like there was something missing to that, and this was like on, it kept going on and on. I didn't know. I was like, what, 5 or 8? I didn't really understand what that meant. In high school, we had to do, like volunteer hours. And I decided to work with this organization who help orphan children in the community in Costa Rica, which is where I'm from.
Uh-huh.
And that kind of struck with my soul because I saw all these children, that they were struggling with different things, or the people that chose to help them also had socioeconomical challenges. And it always caught my attention, like, all this suffering and, all these diseases and all these things. And I just wanted to do something more for them. My older brother became a doctor, and when it was my time to graduate from high school, I asked him, what the medical career was like and whatnot. But I felt like nurses had more of a holistic approach. It was more of a
Mhm.
humane, compassionate, and they use their intuition. They were really curious about how is the patient responding to that disease? How are they coping with those things? So that really resonated with me, and that's why I chose to be a nurse because I felt like it was a more integral approach to how people heal. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I cannot even imagine as you started to tell me about the dreams you were having, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, at 5 and 6, this is like divine intervention.
It was honestly. And to be honest, until last year, I swear I found out about Reiki healing. I'm like, oh, that's a thing. So now
Yes.
I'm very curious. I'm learning about that because I'm like, maybe that's what my dreams were telling me. Who knows?
Oh my goodness. So, but you had this desire from very early on. Plus, your older brother, got into the medical field. He's a doctor and all of that. But you had the opportunity to ask someone, what does this like? So when you got there, though, was it what you thought?
It was very challenging, honestly, because when you are a nursing student, there's this very big pressure of you to be perfect, to know it all. And I remember like my first course is like anatomy and physiology. I loved it. It was like, oh, I'm in heaven, right? But when you start doing the clinical rounds and I saw like the amount of pressure and the expectation that they had on nurses, I was just like, oh, okay, so well, this is gonna be hard, but I think I can pull it off, right? But I did see things that happened as a student that really made me wonder, oh, okay, what do I do with this? But you're in your 20s, you're like,
Yeah.
think I can handle it. I just kept going. But yeah.
Thank God for the ignorance of youth, right?
All right. We don't know what we're getting ourselves into.
Yeah, I get that. I absolutely get that. And so you've worked in different areas and in different countries.
I did, because when I was a new grad, I was offered a job where I was doing my clinical rounds. And I was like, oh, this is fun, because I kind of knew the staff and whatnot. But Dale, I was so bullied. You had no idea. They made my life miserable. Like they would hide the medicine cart, they would switch the cups, they would hide the gauze. If I went to ask for a question, they're like, well, you come from this prestige university, you should know this. And I was like, what is this? I didn't last a year. I actually resigned because I'm like, oh my God, I'm like the dumbest nurse in the world. What did I get myself into? Because I really thought it was me, that I was just a weak nurse. So
Yeah.
I started searching for different things and I left the bedside. Actually, after 1 year, I left the bedside and I went to do more of it was, how can I say this? I guess it would be like the equivalent of like a care manager role. This was in
Mm,
Rica, where I was, talking to patients over the phone. And it was good, but my heart wasn't in it. I was just like, I want to learn more. I want more of the excitement of hospitals. And then that's when I decided to move back to the US.
mm.
Because I had been here for like middle school and high school. I moved back to the US and I started working in this magnet hospital here in Austin, Texas. And I was like, oh, this is heaven, because at that time, I'm talking back in 2000, right? It was just like, um, we were properly staffed. It was when nurses could do like an 8-hour shift and then pick up
Yeah.
3 hours and then continue. So it was kind of, there was demands, but it was okay. And I was in the IMC unit there. I was learning a lot. And then one of the cardiologists who used to make the rounds there in the IMC unit said, hey, I see that you're very bright, you're very proactive, you're always like asking good questions. Are you interested in transferring to the EP lab? And I was so excited because I'm like, the EP lab, you have to have ICU experience and you
Experience.
have like 1 hour, 1 year shadowing. He's like, no, no, I'll get you in. And I don't know how that worked, but they got me in. So that was really exciting for me to be in the EP lab because I was already getting tired of the long shifts and not
Mm.
being able to keep up with the patients. I was already going down the rabbit hole of, just wondering, did I do a good enough
Can I
job?
do next? Mm.
Drinking alcohol 4 or 5 times a week. I was taking pills for sleeping, for swelling, for suppressing my appetite, you name it. I was like an 80-year-old, like 5 different meds and drinking alcohol. And I was just like, well, no, this is not the life that I want, but maybe in the EP lab, it's going to get better because I thought it was weekdays, Monday to
Mm-hmm.
Friday. I was so wrong. I was so wrong. You had no idea. We were working 18 hours a day, 5 days a week
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
lead and radiation. I was exhausted. So to make the story short, I ended up burning out when I was there in the EP lab. That at the same time, I was pregnant with my first child. My husband at that moment was in his residency as a doctor. And it was a weird story because, he always wanted to have kids, but when he found out that I was pregnant, he left me. So I ended up being pregnant, separated, not being able to work full time, because my health was struggling. And I
Mm.
actually ended up losing my house. I lost foreclosure. I lost my job. I lost my husband. So when my
Ooh.
daughter was born, I was just like, okay, so what am I going to do now? I have this nursing career, but I don't know anything besides the hospital. That's the only thing that I kind of thought about. So I
Mm-hmm.
took like 3 years just to raise my daughter. Just thinking about what I was going to do with my life. And then I decided to start working at a doctor's clinic. I did that for a few years, just to kind of compensate. But again, I was always like searching, like, there's got to be more and more and more. And I decided to become a coach. I think I was like one of the first 700 nurses here in the US to get certified with this new specialty. And that was great, Dale, because, I was working from home.
Yeah.
I was talking to the patients. But the beautiful thing is, and I'm pretty sure you've seen this, people know that they want to feel better. People know that they want to heal. People know that they want a better quality of life. And you can give them all the recommendations in the world, all the tools, but they just don't do it. And I
They
was
don't
just
want to
like,
do the
why
work.
that gap? Why aren't people doing this? And it's, because they lack energy, they feel
Mm-hmm.
like they don't have time, their responsibilities, or their mindset. There's a lot of unworthiness. I've
Yeah.
seen in all my life, it's unworthiness is always like the recurrent
Mm-hmm.
thing. So coaching helped me bridge that gap into like what they needed to do and how to actually take conscious action towards that. So I was working with a very big company. I was working with Google and Fitbit as a nurse coach. They had never heard about what a nurse coach was. And my interview was so funny. It was like 7 people on
Mm-hmm.
Zoom. And they were like, what is a nurse coach? And why is that different than a health coach? And tell me, they were just fascinated. So it was a really good experience. I was there with them for a few years. And then I got sick again. I started having symptoms out of the blue. I was just like gaining weight. I was anxious. I was depressed. I was having fatigue, joint pain, you name it. I was like, what is this? This doesn't make any sense. I have my finances are great. I'm working from home. My kids are great. I had remarried at that time. There was no reason for me to be feeling like this. And guess what, Dale? Long story short, I was lucky enough that my family doctor was very open-minded, and she was
Mm,
like, "I think you're burnout again, but there has to be something else going on."
something
They
else.
did tests, and voila, I had an autoimmune disorder, and I was shocked. I'm like, "Why is this? That can't be. I was eating healthy and organic and working out. This can't be happening to me, right? Right?" And then again, divine intervention. I got this voice that said, this is not you, this is not your life. You're not going to just submit to treatment and feel miserable, because the medication that they wanted to put me on, they were trying to rule out lupus and Sjogren's syndrome. The medication had a high risk of me losing my vision, because I had like a minor lesion on my right eye. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, there's no way I'm not going to take that medication. um, so I started digging more, like, okay, I'm already doing organic food, low inflammatory diet, whatnot. What else is going on here? And then a friend of mine said, "Hey, have you ever heard about Dr. Joe Dispenza?" I'm like, "I don't know who you're talking about." And she's like, "Well, watch his YouTube videos, because he's talking about all the scientific research on meditation, the mind-body connection, and how people are healing from medical conditions with it." And the minute I read his books, I was hooked. I was hooked, all the research, because as nurses, we want that, right? We want the proof,
Yeah.
and we wanted that. And I was just like, oh my God, this is what I needed. And through this 3-year journey of, holistic approaches, functional medicine, Dr. Joe's work, I understood that stress. There was like this lingering stress in my unconscious, that even though I thought I had it all together, it was in there. And it was that stress of always thinking, nurses, we have this, we're very perfectionist and imposter syndrome. I was like, did I do a good job? Did I treat that patient right? What does my boss think of me? And then planning for the future. So all
Mhm.
that anxiety of the past and the future was in the back of my head. I didn't pay attention to that. And that's what wore me out. That's led me to that autoimmune disorder. So that opened another door. It's like, when things get hard, there's always a reason for that, right? And I started to get curious, like, okay, what else is there in life for me? I was able to
Mhm.
overcome this disorder in 5 years. I was healed. My rheumatologist, like, I wish all my patients were like you. And then I was offered a job with Dr. Joe Dispenza directly to work with his research team in the University of San Diego. So that was beautiful to be able to see, witness all these people transforming, getting to know themselves and healing. And I've been doing that since what is it, 2020? Yeah, 2020, 2021, working with him, traveling around the world, helping people really understand it, and at the same time gathering all that medical data that we're researching to prove to the world, just how powerful we are if we're able to change that mindset. So yeah.
Yes. Yes. And it is very definitely a mindset shift.
It is. It is. It is absolutely. I mean, lately what I've been teaching, because I love to do workshops and, podcasts like this talking about
Mhm.
this. And what nurses ask me all the time is like, yeah, that's good to know, but I can't turn off my stress. I can't turn off that stress response, especially if I'm in a hospital. I'm like, yes, you can. I challenge you to that. Yes, you can. You can shut off your stress response from one patient room to another one if you know how to do it. Dopamine plays a big role on this, because it's not
Yes.
just about the pleasure, but it's how we learn about fear and good experiences and bad experiences. So if you can rewire your brain, you can retrain your brain. Yes, you might have a stressful situation on with the patient in room, I don't know, let's say A, but if you know how to shift and reset before you walk into the other patient's room, then yes, that stress response is going to shut down, because that's the problem. Like, we don't know how to shut down that stress
You don't.
response. And I've seen
Mhm.
it, I lived it, I've seen it tons of times. So that's why I'm so passionate there about telling nurses, like, you don't have to live this way. Like, all that stress and tearing down, it's not the way to go. Especially with the hospitals and stuff, right? That they don't support us at all. There's no support for nurses. No one's coming for us. And don't even get me started on workplace violence, because I've been talking a lot about that. But it's just like,
Yeah.
you need to have like this special shield. You need to shield your mind, your wellness, because you can't do this. Like, police officers can't do it. Military can't do it. So why aren't you taking care of yourself? I mean, they're doing it.
Yeah. 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 But there's nothing in our, and maybe I shouldn't say nothing because it's a long time, it's a while since I've been in the education arena, but traditionally there's nothing in that arena that tells nurses that you are valuable and you need to take care of you and how to take care of you.
Hmm.
What was stressed is you need to take care of everybody else.
Yes.
And you don't really exist except to complete the tasks or to take care of everybody else. And so many of us don't even know how.
We don't know. We don't know. And it's innate in us. It's part of our nature, right? It's like
Yeah,
if you give, you have to receive back
yeah,
more or the same that you're giving. You can't keep
yeah,
giving out and expecting that, I don't know, someone's going to fix it for you. No, it's just not going to happen. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you have done a lot. Tell me about your book, though. It
So
says
my
Burn
book,
Bright, Not Out.
my book, we can piggyback on that, Dale, because I was doing a lot of research on stress and burnout, which is a very hot topic for us nurses, right? And workplace violence as well.
Mm,
And if you Google or put in AI, within seconds, you're going to get thousands of data on research studies, and we know it's bad for us. We know it's bad for the profession. But if you look up solutions on stress and burnout, it's very, very general, right? Like take some
mhm,
vacation, take some time off, talk to your manager, talk to your friends.
mm,
That's not that's just a band-aid, right? So my book is all based on neuroscience, it's based on psychology, it's based on research that I've done, with Dr. Joe and other neuroscientists that have been doing this because I'm that kind of person. I'm not, okay, tell me what's the problem and we're going to find a solution. We're going to fix it. So my book is
yeah,
very concise, it's very concrete with solutions. Like if you're dealing with anxiety, this is what you need to do. If you have trouble with imposter syndrome, this is what you need to do. If you want to switch jobs, yes, that's great. Okay, good for you. If you want to switch jobs, I'm okay with that. But you have to make sure that you are aligning your values with your,
yeah.
because if not, within 6 months or a year, you're going to be dealing with the same things.
In the
Because
same
think
place.
about it.
Yeah.
If you're switching jobs, what are you doing? It's not up to you if you're going to get a good manager, a good
Hmm.
coworker. You're thinking just about the salary, but honestly, if you're not aligned with your values, what makes you feel worthy, what makes you feel important, then no job is going to change that for you, right?
Right.
And then the stress, I love to talk about the stress response in our bodies, again, from a neuroscience perspective, because it's like if stress comes from fear, right? And we tend to be overreactive about that. But again, if you learn to regulate your emotions, if you learn to say, this is a scary thing, but within seconds, I can let that go, just like a zebra, right? With a predator. If
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
shut that off, then it's going to be very different than you having that experience. And 5 hours go by, you're still thinking about that. A week goes by and you're still thinking about it. It's very, very different, right? So I love to um share in that book techniques and strategies that you can do when you're at work or when you're at home so that you can fully recover and completely heal. And then, and only then, you can decide, yes, I need to switch jobs, or maybe, it wasn't really the job, it was just how I was responding to that.
My
Now, don't get
response.
me wrong. And one thing
Mhm.
that I always say is like burnout is not our fault. It's not our fault. It's the healthcare system that is breaking us down. And it's not that you're doing a bad job as a nurse, but at the same time, you need special tools to cope with this. We just can't,
Yeah.
we're never going to meet their expectations. So you have to be smart about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And very often we don't even recognize the stress.
Mm-mm.
We don't even recognize stress for what it is.
No,
You know.
no. And what was shocking to me when I was learning about this back in the day, Dale, that I didn't know, is like the same response that you have. Let's say that someone's here, God forbid, going to assault me. The same stress response that I'm experiencing with that can happen if I just have the thought of that. And people don't
Yes.
understand that. It's just the thought. Just having that thought is going to have the exact same biochemical response in your body. So can you
Yes.
imagine
Yes.
when we're reading social media, like a nurse got assaulted at work in a state that's 5,000 miles away from me? I'm like, oh my God, I wonder if that would happen to me. You're experiencing the same thing. That's what secondary trauma is called. So a lot of people are not aware of how sensitive we are to stress. But at the same time, if we have that stress response, it's innate in us, then it makes sense. Our body is very smart, right? It's going to adapt. Then
Yeah.
there has to be a recovery response. The problem is that we don't let it because it's just starting and then we get another thought and you start it all over again. But that's the hope. Like it's right there. You just need to let your body take the wheels for this.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Because so many of us don't recognize it. Don't recognize, and there's so much in our general life, let alone at work, that causes us to be stressed. Even just the thought of going to work for some of us
Mm.
is so stressful. And then, on the way to work, we drive to work, we drive in traffic, we drive in, and by the time you get to work, you're up here.
You're already exhausted. Not just going to work though, but the minute you wake up, like what is the first thought you have when you wake up?
True.
Are you like, oh
Exactly.
my God, I love my life. Life is beautiful. Or like, I have to go to work and no, the shift is going to be horrible. And, I
Yeah.
have to pay my bills, blah, blah, blah. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, too much.
Yeah. 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 And there's a way to deal with it. There's a
Yes.
way to deal with it. Yes, exactly. So, well, I'm going to ask you, what would you say then is your greatest achievement so far? Because you've done a lot and seen a lot.
Yeah. I think my book is my greatest achievement because I feel like I was able to compile not just my experience, I'm like my professional and personal experience in this, but I was able to get testimonies from nurses, from
Mm,
directors. That's a big one,
mm,
right? We're always saying like, what is corporate doing? What do they think about this? And when you see the human side of the people in the corporate level, you understand that there's two sides of the coin. It's not just
yeah,
blaming fingers on them. But I
yeah,
think my book, because I feel like I can get that knowledge out there to more people and to plant the seed to let you know there's hope and there's medical proof that there's a way out of this. Yeah.
yeah. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so before I forget, I'm going to let everyone know that we're going to put that information in the description box
Oh
so that
yeah,
people, if you haven't heard about Giovanna's book, the description will be there, how to get it. It'll be in the description
wonderful.
box. And to contact Giovanna. So we're talking about a mindset shift. Um, what I want to ask you, what do you do then? What do you do as a personal habit or mind shift that helps you particularly? Because for everyone, I think it's a little different.
It's a little different. I think in my case, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, I've always been a very anxious person there. Ever since I was a kid, I was bullied a lot in elementary school
Mm.
again. I was just a magnet for those kind of people, but I was always very anxious, trying to control everything, trying to predict everything. Um,
Hmm.
and I think when I realized that I was spending like 90% of my day either remembering things from the past or trying to predict the future, and I understood that that was wearing me out, then I started to realize I need to be more in the present moment. It's so beautiful because, I mean, you can relate to this. What is the difference of you just enjoying here today, this day? You're like, I love my day today. I'm enjoying this conversation that I'm having with you right now, and I just choose to live without fear, without worry for today, right?
Hmm.
Versus waking up and saying, "Oh my God, I already did this, and the week went by, and I have to fix the bills, and I have to, yeah." The problems are not going away. Nothing is going to change, but what's going to be very different is how your health is coping with that. So if you can't change anything, and it's two very different scenarios, why not choose the one that's going to nourish you,
Yeah.
and you are still going to take conscious action towards fixing your things, but you're doing it from a place of ease, from a place of neutrality instead of fear and stress. So that has helped me a lot. And up to this day, I'm still human. There are some days that I'm just like, oh, I can't deal with life anymore. So I just completely disconnect. I go and, I do gardening or I go meditation, go for a walk. But it's just reminding myself, I just need to be here now. That's
Yeah.
it. Everything
Yeah.
else will work out. The
Yeah.
life is always working for me. I just need to trust life and trust myself.
Yeah. 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 And you'll get it done. And you'll
Yeah.
get it done.
Yeah.
So, what is the biggest, what advice then would you give to someone who says, I want to be a nurse?
I would tell them go for it. It's a very beautiful profession, but you have to really, again, be aligned with your values. Like, what is important to you and why? And never ever negotiate that. Especially in nursing, we have so many options that we can work in whatever field we want, even if it's not related to healthcare. But just be very conscious of what's important to you and accommodate to that. Don't ever, go to a career or a job just because you're trying to please someone else's expectations or anything like that.
Yeah.
Nursing
Yeah.
can be very rewarding, but you have to learn about emotional regulation. You have to learn how to deal with the stress because it's not an easy career. We see very hard things of the humanity, and we need to learn how to process those things and not just swallow all those experiences.
Yeah, yeah. And in many cases, there's sometimes stuff that you really cannot share. We hold a lot of confidence, we hold many confidences. And so you can't really internalize. You can hold a confidence without making it part of your own,
It's
body and responses and whatever. And I think that's
yeah.
one of the things that we tend to do, internalize those confidences that we hold, and those things that we see, and it makes us ill.
Mhm.
It makes us ill.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what do you see? I have one last question. One last question. So many things have changed in nursing in the last 10, 15 years. What do you think you see in the next 10 years or so? Or what would you even like to see?
That's a great question. I think nursing nowadays is harder, honestly, than 10, 15 years ago. It's always
Mhm.
been, but now it feels different, right? There's too much pressure for overperforming. Again, workplace violence is close to my heart. I've seen so many testimonies from nurses on this that it just shouldn't be happening. It's just like it's sad that we even have to talk about this. And I
Mhm.
think, with the COVID pandemic, I think it really opened the eyes to a lot of nurses of like, oh, healthcare heroes, really? But when it came to that, we
Yeah.
saw we're treated, so it was like
Hmm.
a reality check on that. But the good thing is like I feel like the paradigms is changing right now, and
Hmm.
nursing going through this transition phase. So I see nursing very different 10 to 15 years from now. There's many efforts happening right now with the Commission for Nurse Reimbursement, which I'm a volunteer
Yes.
for, to change, how we are getting reimbursed and the staffing
Hmm.
rates and whatnot. And a lot of people are waking up. I've met so many beautiful, amazing, talented nurse leaders that are making change. We're pushing for change on a daily basis. And what I foresee is that we are going to get to a point where we are, well, it's going to start with us, right? We're going to feel worthy and we're going
Yes.
to set our boundaries. We're not going to be pushed around as we have been in the past, but we're going to be able to charge for our services.
Hmm.
Like I was shocked the other day, like Medicare came out that a chef can charge for meals for patients, right? And I'm like, that's great, but it should start with us, with the nurses. So I foresee a system where we can be compensated for what we are worth. And I
Hmm.
see a more holistic approach to nursing. A lot of people are waking up to like mindfulness practices, energy healing, Reiki that I mentioned, functional
Hmm.
medicine, aromatherapy, all those things. And I think nursing is really going to evolve, and we're really going to take charge of this profession because I mean we're one of the biggest professions in the world, and it's time that we speak up.
Yes, 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 yes. And I agree with you. I think I see us, we're speaking up. We're not we're not taking, different things. We're not allowing younger nurses are just not allowing themselves to be pushed around.
Hmm.
And I see it heading towards what I call critical mass, that we're going to be
Yes.
tipping over the thing, and I'm like,
We're gonna take
wow.
over, and I encourage everyone that's listening, like look up the nursing history, like where we came from back in the 1800s, like what
Yes.
was asked of us. I was shocked. I'm like, oh my God, you see me at this, I don't know, like this it's not even a person. I was doing everything, like washing floors and doing all
Hmm.
those things, and so many demands of like, you have to go to mass on Sunday and you have to do
Yes.
this image that you have to present. And I was like, who came up with this crap? And how we were compensated. Like they took that away from us
Yeah.
many, many years ago. And we
Yeah.
let it happen. But I feel
And do
like
that.
now are ready. They're very wise, they're very empowered, and they're like, we're not gonna take this anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. And we're no longer isolated. So thankfully, this is now a global,
Yes.
we live in a global environment now. We don't live in Texas. You're bodily in Texas and I'm bodily in Connecticut, but we live in a global environment and we get to see what other people are doing, what they're saying, how they're feeling about things. And hey, it's
It's
all good.
coming. It's coming. I mean, I talked to nurses in Canada, in Japan, in Saudi
Mhm.
Arabia, and they're all like, let's go. It's
Let's
it's go.
go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Exciting times.
Giovanna, thank you so very, very much for this conversation. It has been wonderful. I have enjoyed every minute of it. Is there any last words you want to leave us with?
I would say Trust your gut, trust yourself. You're so beautiful, you're so powerful, and don't ever let anyone take that from you. And if you are scared about being in the unknown, not knowing what you do, remember that nurses, we're experts at this. Every day that we walked into a hospital or even a clinic, you don't know what's going to happen, but you're so
Right.
good at improvising, at adapting, and finding solutions. So just apply that knowledge to your
Yeah.
personal life. You can do
Just
it.
do it. Just you can do it. You can do it. Thank you so much, Giovanna.
You are welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.